She had 330,000 people who called her their Chocolatito. She danced, she laughed, she never hid who she was. Then one night, she got into a car, headed for a house she'd never leave alive. And the man waiting for her would later calmly tell police, "I think I pulled too hard." Her name was Raiza Jocelyn Martinez Copa. She was 34 years old, from Lima, Peru. And online, everyone knew her as La Chocolatita. She built her following on TikTok with high-energy dance videos, workout clips, and a personality that felt completely unfiltered. Off-camera, she was close with her family, devoted to her pet, and open about struggling with migraines that sometimes kept her from filming. On other platforms, she also sold adult content, a business that, combined with her TikTok fame, made her a recognizable name across Peruvian social media. Her profile exploded months earlier when she was linked to a well-known Peruvian national team footballer, a rumor that put her name in headlines far beyond her usual audience. By the summer, she was one of the most talked-about content creators in the country. Nobody watching her videos could have guessed how she'd end up. Wednesday, July 22nd. Raiza left her home in the Surquillo district of Lima and told her family she'd be back later, the way she often was after a night out. It was nothing unusual, until it was. Hours passed, then more hours. By morning, she still hadn't come home, and both of her phones were switched off. Her family could normally track her location, but this time, nothing. Her brother Ronaldo went to the police to report her missing. According to the family, getting officers to take it seriously wasn't easy. They described being sent from station to station, hospital to hospital, with no real answers. Then, late on Thursday, one of her phones briefly pinged a location, an upscale gated neighborhood called La Planicie in the district of La Molina. It was the kind of address nobody expected her to be tied to. The family made their way there. What they found waiting for them wasn't Raiza. It was the news that she was already gone. The house in La Planicie belonged to a woman named Zelma Muñoz. Her 36-year-old son, a logistics administrator named Óscar Raúl Arias Muñoz, lived there too. That afternoon, Zelma had knocked on her son's bedroom door, trying to check on him. When nobody answered, she opened it herself and found Raiza's body on the floor of the room. She wasn't breathing. Her mouth was covered with duct tape. Óscar wasn't in the house. His mother called the police immediately. Investigators believe Raiza had likely been dead for hours before anyone found her, possibly since the early hours of that morning. Hours later, Óscar came back to the property on his own. Police were waiting. He was taken into custody on the spot. An autopsy would later confirm what the scene already suggested. The cause of death was mechanical asphyxiation by strangulation. This wasn't an accident. This was a homicide, and prosecutors would soon classify it as a case of femicide, the killing of a woman because she is a woman. What Óscar told police next is what turned this from a mystery into something far more disturbing. He claimed he'd known Raiza for about a year, after connecting with her on social media, and later moving the conversation to Telegram, where she offered paid content. According to his account, they'd only met in person once before, and this was supposed to be their second meeting. He said he arranged and paid for her ride to the house, and that she arrived at his door in the very early hours of the morning. He told investigators the two of them had been drinking, and that at some point the duct tape came out. He described it almost like it started as a joke between them, something he claims she asked for herself. He denied using drugs personally, but said Raiza had arrived already under the influence of something, and that she'd asked him for more of a substance known locally as thusi, pink cocaine, which he said he didn't have much of. Then came the part investigators zeroed in on. Óscar said he didn't fully remember the details of what happened next, but that when a doctor examining him afterward pointed out there were no bruises consistent with someone strangling a person with their bare hands, and asked whether he practiced any kind of martial arts, he said no, and then admitted that he might have used a towel. He said it started to make sense to him once it was suggested. He described pulling on it and said he thought he'd simply pulled too hard. It was a confession delivered without much visible emotion. Investigators noted how calmly he walked through it, recounting a woman's final moments the way someone might describe a task that went wrong. Prosecutors requested 18 months of preventive detention against him on charges of femicide. If police thought the confession closed the case, it didn't take long for it to start falling apart. For one, Óscar initially told investigators he barely knew Raiza, that this was essentially a stranger he'd paid for a service. But Raiza's brother, Ronaldo, pushed back hard on that version. He insisted the two had actually known each other for months, that they'd spent time together on weekends, and that there was call and message evidence to prove it. Evidence his family says was never shown to them by Raiza herself while she was alive. Then there was the matter of Óscar himself. This wasn't his first contact with police. Records showed prior reports against him for violence toward a former partner, a separate complaint of mistreatment filed by his own mother, and an investigation tied to driving under the influence. Neighbors would later tell reporters this wasn't the first time a woman had been seen leaving that house in distress, and that more than once, worried relatives had shown up looking for someone who, thankfully, had walked out alive. And then there were the phones. Raiza carried two, one personal, one for work, and neither has ever been recovered. GPS data reportedly placed them inside the same house where she died, but investigators never found them there. Stranger still, after Óscar was already in custody, one of the phones reportedly reactivated, briefly pinging a location again, raising a question nobody has fully answered. Who had access to that device after Raiza was gone? That detail alone has pushed investigators toward a theory the case isn't officially closed on, that Óscar may not have acted alone. As of now, Óscar Raúl Arias Muñoz remains in custody, while prosecutors build their case for femicide. Forensic teams are still working to match his account against the physical evidence, the marks on Raiza's body, the layout of the room, and whatever the missing phones might eventually reveal, if they're ever found. Raiza's family has been vocal from the very first day. Her brother has publicly demanded the phones be traced, accused police of moving too slowly in the early hours when she was still just missing, and said plainly that he doesn't believe his sister died alone in that room with only one other person. Tributes poured in from people who knew her, including actress Mayra Couto, who publicly asked for the full truth to come out. Not just an arrest, but real justice. And Raiza's case isn't isolated. In Peru, femicide numbers had already climbed past 80 confirmed cases in the first 7 months of that year alone, with 1 month registering the highest toll in recent memory. Her name became one more entry in a count that keeps growing. Óscar Arias says he doesn't remember exactly how far he went, but somewhere between a joke with duct tape and a towel pulled too tight, a woman who lit up screens for hundreds of thousands of people, never made it out of that room. The investigation is still open, the phones are still missing, and the question of whether he was really alone that night still isn't answered. If you want to see another case where the official story didn't match what really happened behind closed doors, that video is right here. Make sure you're subscribed because this channel is where the truth they don't want you to see finally comes out.